Welcome to the deep dive, and specifically our segment, Chat Like a Native.
Great to be here.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into something I think almost all of us do, using the word really, to, intensify our language. It's useful, sure, but maybe it's a bit of a linguistic placeholder sometimes.
That's exactly right.
Right.
It's kind of a default, isn't it? So if you're ready to move beyond just saying really all the time, and you want your English to sound, well, more precise, maybe more confident.
More like a native speaker.
Precisely. Then you've definitely landed in the perfect place today.
Yeah, because by the end of this deep dive, you're going to walk away with like a powerful toolkit of words. Words that will make your English sound more polished, help you avoid that ambiguity.
Right?
Enhance your credibility in conversations, and honestly, just keep your listeners far more engaged. This isn't just about sounding better, it's about communicating exactly what you mean.
With nuance, yeah, and impact.
Okay, let's unpack this then. How often do we all say, really? Probably loads. And what if there were, say, 10 amazing alternatives to help us sound even more like a native speaker?
It's a fantastic goal. Because, while really is a perfectly fine word,
Sure.
using it too much can sometimes dilute the very impact you're actually trying to achieve.
Yeah.
It can make your language less forceful.
Yeah, less punchy.
And occasionally, it can even lead to ambiguity. If you say something is really good, what does that actually mean? Is it amazing or just, okay?
Right. The listener's often left guessing a bit.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you mean. It becomes this sort of linguistic crutch, doesn't it? Like, we're not quite sure how else to describe that intensity. So if really isn't always pulling its weight, what's the solution? How do we break free and sharpen our message?
Well, the solution lies in using what we call precise intensifiers.
Okay.
Now, these aren't just synonyms for really. They're words that don't just add general emphasis, but they actually sharpen your meaning. They inject a specific nuance.
Nuance. I like that.
Think of them as giving your words more weight, more color. They help you paint a much clearer picture for your listener. It's about being strategic, really, with your vocabulary.
I love that painting a clearer picture. It's like upgrading from a single crayon to a whole set of watercolors.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
So let's jump right into some of these incredible alternatives. What's our first one?
Let's start with particularly.
Particularly.
Particularly. Yeah. Think of this as your precision tool, maybe like a laser pointer.
Ooh, okay.
When really feels like a blunt instrument, particularly lets you spotlight a single standout element. It makes your observation sharp and specific.
So you use it when you want to single something out, make it noteworthy compared to other things.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
Singling out something is especially noteworthy from a group or a general situation.
Gotcha. So instead of just saying, the team did really well, you could say...
I'm particularly proud of how our team handled the challenge of that project.
Ah, okay. It instantly adds that depth and insight, doesn't it?
Precisely. Or, in an academic context, you might hear, this chapter's particularly challenging for many students.
Right. It narrows the focus. It's that specific part that stands out.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense. Now, okay, if particularly is about pinpointing something specific, what if the change isn't just specific, but, well, big? A big difference.
Yeah, that's significantly comes in.
Significantly. This one feels like it implies a measurable impact, maybe?
Absolutely. Significantly is perfect when you want to highlight a measurable or very noteworthy difference. It implies a substantial impact.
Substantial. Okay.
It's something that you can often quantify or at least clearly observe. And here's where tone becomes important, too. Significantly immediately sounds a bit more formal, more impactful, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. More weight.
That's your first rule of thumb, really.
Yeah.
Match your intensifier to the tone of your conversation or writing.
So not just a small shift, but a substantial one, like you might use in a business report or maybe a scientific finding.
Exactly. How does it convey that sense of measurable impact? Well, saying really big or really increased just lacks that.
Right.
That gravitas.
Right.
Our sales have increased significantly this quarter. Tells you there was a substantial, maybe even quantifiable improvement. It conveys a professional assessment.
Makes sense.
Similarly, the new policy significantly improved customer satisfaction implies a tangible, impactful change, not just a vague, it got better.
Got it. Okay, now this next one is interesting because I think you mentioned it actually has two distinct uses, both powerful. Let's talk about exceptionally.
Yes, exceptionally. It's a bit of a powerhouse, this one.
Okay.
First, let's talk about using it when we're praising excellence.
Right.
It means beyond the usual or outstanding. When you use it for praise, you're giving high praise. It shows discernment.
Discernment, meaning...
Meaning you've thought about why someone or something is exceptional
Right.
rather than just generically saying they're really good.
Ah, I see. So it adds credibility to the praise. If someone is truly gifted, you could say.
She's an exceptionally talented musician.
Nice.
Or, to commend a colleague maybe, he's an exceptionally reliable colleague. It really elevates the compliment beyond just really reliable.
Perfect. Okay, now the other use of exceptionally.
Yeah.
You said rarity or unusual situations.
Yes, this is the flip side. Here, it means unusually, or in a way that is not common.
Oh.
It points to something being truly out of the ordinary, not just good or bad, but uncommon.
So not just good, but unusually good or unusually rare compared to the norm.
Exactly, like the weather that day was exceptionally good for hiking. It implies it was way better than average, unusually perfect.
Okay.
Or, maybe describing behavior, it's exceptionally rare to see such behavior. Yeah. It highlights how uncommon it is, making it more impactful than just saying really rare.
Got it. That clarifies the dual nature of exceptionally really well.
Thanks. Okay, our next alternative brings a sense of surprise. What's the nuance with remarkably?
Remarkably.
Right.
Yeah, this is the word you reach for when you want to introduce something surprising or noteworthy.
It's surprising. It signals that what you're about to say is unusual or impressive, maybe in an unexpected way. It adds a little storytelling flair.
Highlighting something unexpected, like exceeding expectations, maybe against the odds, or something being unexpectedly easy.
You've got it. Both work. Imagine, remarkably, he finished the marathon despite the injury.
Wow. Yeah.
That implies an unexpected triumph, right? Or, for something unexpectedly easy, it was remarkably easy to set up the system. It carries that sense of pleasant surprise, draws the listener in.
I like that. Adds a real narrative punch. Okay, shifting gears slightly to number 5. Highly. I feel like I hear this one a lot in professional recommendations.
You do, and for good reason.
Highly is ideal for expressing strong recommendation or high degree of something.
A recommendation.
It's direct, it's unambiguous, perfect for professional or academic contexts where clarity is valued.
So if you had a truly great dining experience, you'd say.
I highly recommend this restaurant. Simple, strong.
And in a more practical context, maybe this method is highly effective for reducing errors. It conveys a strong, positive assessment without sounding over the top. Gives your recommendation real weight.
Okay, makes sense. Our 6th word, utterly. Now, for me, this one immediately makes me think of something extreme, maybe even negative.
You're picking up on its common connotation perfectly.
Yeah.
Utterly is used to convey a complete or total degree, absolute.
Complete total.
And yes, it often, though not exclusively, appears in negative or extreme contexts. It suggests something is absolute, leaving no room for doubt.
So like really strong emotions or definitive outcomes.
Precisely. I was utterly shocked by the news.
Yeah.
Total shock.
Thanks.
Or if an experiment completely failed to yield results, the experiment was utterly inconclusive.
Right. No results whatsoever.
You also hear it paired strongly with words like hopeless. Utterly hopeless.
Well, yeah, that's a strong one.
It really signifies totality. So you do need to use it with care. It can sound utterly dramatic if you overuse it.
Good point. Noted. Next up, immensely. This feels like it's all about scale and magnitude, like big.
You're spot on. Immensely is all about expressing a great extent or scale. It means to a very great degree, or enormously.
Enormously.
It conveys a vast, significant degree of something.
So when you're truly, truly appreciative of something, or describing significant progress over time.
Exactly. I was immensely grateful for your help.
Yeah.
That speaks to the sheer volume of your gratitude, more than just really grateful.
Yeah, much more.
And looking at progress, the technology has progressed immensely over the past decade. It highlights just how far something has come. Big scale.
That's a powerful one, conveying so much. Now let's revisit something maybe a bit more casual but still precise.
Yeah.
Especially, how does this differ from particularly, which we talked about earlier? They feel kind of similar.
That's a great question. They're often confused. Especially is quite similar to particularly, yes. It also singles something out as being more significant or prominent than others.
Right.
The key difference is often just tone. Especially generally feels a bit more casual, more conversational.
Ah, okay. More for everyday speech, perhaps. So if I went to a concert and loved the end part.
You'd naturally say, I enjoyed the concert, especially the encore.
Right.
Or, talking about a tool, this tool is especially useful for beginners. It draws attention to a specific favorite or a key benefit in a more conversational way than particularly might sound in that context.
Okay, that distinction helps. Casual versus slightly more formal. And finally, our 10th precise intensifier.
Notably.
Notably. Yes, this is a fantastic word. Use it when you want to draw attention to something important or memorable.
Important or memorable.
It tells your listener, hey, pay attention to this point. It's significant. This is particularly useful in more formal discussions or reports where you want to signpost key information clearly.
So if someone wasn't somewhere they were expected to be, and it's important to highlight that absence, you could say, she's notably absent from the meeting today. It highlights that her absence is significant, perhaps unexpected, draws specific attention to it.
Okay.
Or, talking about software maybe, notably, this feature was added in the latest update. It immediately signals its importance.
Wow. Okay, so we have 10 really useful, remarkably useful alternatives.
Nice save.
What's fascinating here is how each word really does carry its own specific weight and color. Like you said, it helps paint a much clearer picture.
It really is like having that full palette instead of just one crayon.
Definitely.
And it's not just about knowing these words, is it? It's about knowing how and when to use them effectively.
Right.
We've touched on it as we went, but it's vital to think about how to choose and moderate these intensifiers for maximum impact.
Yeah, it's not just about swapping really for a fancier word. It's about making a deliberate choice. We talked about matching the tone earlier with words like significantly for formal stuff and maybe especially for more casual chats.
Yeah.
What else should we keep in mind?
Well, another crucial point is watching for overuse.
Ah, yes. The spice analogy.
Exactly. Think of them like spices. A little bit adds fantastic flavor, but too much just overwhelms the dish.
Right.
Even the strongest intensifiers lose their impact if you sprinkle them everywhere. The goal is to vary your language. Aim for maybe 1 or 2 per paragraph or per distinct topic at most.
Let them stand out.
Let them stand out, exactly. Don't let them just blend into the background noise.
That's excellent advice. And how about the connotation? We touched on utterly being often negative. Do others work better in positive or negative situations?
Yes, definitely consider the connotation, the feeling the word carries. As we discussed, utterly often pairs very well with negative contexts. Utterly shocked, utterly hopeless. For positive praise, words like exceptionally or immensely are fantastic choices. They convey strong approval or appreciation really effectively.
So it's about choosing the word that not only intensifies but also conveys the right feeling?
Spot on. It's not just about strength, but the flavor of that strength.
Flavor, I like that. And finally, being audience aware. How does that play into our word choice?
Oh, hugely. Your audience impacts everything. In technical writing, for example, where precision is absolutely paramount,
Right.
words like significantly and notably are highly valued because they convey exact meaning, measurable change.
Makes sense.
But if you're writing a creative story, or maybe a personal narrative, remarkably and particularly can add that flair, evoke emotion, make your prose more vivid.
Tailor it to the listener and the context.
Exactly. It's about knowing who you're talking to and what kind of impact you actually want to make.
Okay, here's where it gets exceptionally fascinating. It's about being deliberate, isn't it? Making conscious choices. We've talked about all these specific words and how to use them, but what does this all mean for our overall communication?
Yeah.
How does this balance of clarity and strength really come together?
Well, fundamentally, it comes down to enhancing your communication across the board. By choosing more precise words, instead of just defaulting to really, you achieve several key things. First, you avoid ambiguity. We talked about that. When you say significantly, you're not just saying a lot. You're specifying a measurable, important change. That's far clearer.
Which instantly makes you sound more informed, more trustworthy.
Exactly right. And that leads straight to the second point. You enhance your credibility.
Oh, credibility.
When you use exceptionally to praise someone, it shows that discernment we mentioned. It implies you thought about why they're exceptional rather than just a generic, they're really good.
So your praise and your opinion overall holds more weight.
Precisely. It's not just about sounding smart. It's about actually being clearer and more discerning in how you communicate.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the third benefit, maintaining engagement. Let's be honest, constantly hearing really can just become monotonous for the listener.
Yeah, it gets boring.
Varying your language keeps people interested. It shows range, it shows depth in your vocabulary, which is inherently more compelling, more engaging.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, the goal of chat like a native.
It's about making your communication both clearer and more compelling, which is absolutely essential if you want to sound more like a native speaker.
Because native speakers tend to naturally pick the most fitting word, often without thinking too hard about it.
Right.
And practicing these options helps you build that same instinct over time.
That's exactly it. It's about transforming your English from just good to truly polished and confident.
Polished and confident, I like that.
But the key, always, is that judicious use. Remember the spice analogy?
Right. Not too much, not too little.
Exactly. Too few intensifiers can leave your language feeling flat, maybe uninspiring. But too many can make it sound forced, over the top, maybe even insincere.
Find that sweet spot.
Find that perfect balance that feels natural and impactful.
So the challenge for everyone listening is, the next time you find yourself about to say, really, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, is there a more precise, more impactful word I could use here? Because that journey to truly chat like a native, it really lies in those small, deliberate word choices.
Absolutely. Every little choice adds up.
Well, keep exploring, keep practicing, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
And we'll catch you on the next deep dive into Chat Like a Native.